What is up, everybody? We are back here at King Film Sports for the NFL Week 3 betting locks and game predictions. Here we have a great slate of games after we had a pretty good week last week. We had a recap video yesterday come out on the channel, as well as my power rankings. Quite controversial there. I know we've had some interesting comments so far and feedback, so watch that video after this one. And yesterday, didn't get to recap the Falcons-Eagles Monday night game. What a game here. You're seeing our Discord here where we gave out all of our selections for that game. We were very successful, made 2.5 units there. Falcons spread and moneyline hits, and then we hit a player prop on Dallas Goedert there. So be sure to join the Discord. Top link in the description there for all of our betting picks. But yeah, what a game there. I thought the Falcons played really well throughout the entire game. It was just a red zone inefficiency. Kirk Cousins couldn't make a few big throws. Eagles defense was able to bow up in these critical situations and then even stop the Falcons late on a 4th and 1 on the Atlanta side of the field. Thought the Eagles would just run out the clock there, but Saquon with a big drop on 3rd down. A little controversial, the Eagles even throwing the ball there. I supported it, had the perfect play call, had the perfect throw, but Saquon just dropped it. And then really, I think that most of the blame should be on this Eagles defense and their defensive coordinator for that horrible prevent defense on that last drive there. Kirk Cousins, they drove down in a little over a minute. They had time to spare. Almost thought they scored too early there with 35 seconds left as Kirk Cousins and that Atlanta offense just tore up that defense and ended up winning by 1, which was huge for both our spread and moneyline bets there. So kind of lucky that Saquon dropped that, and then the Falcons end up winning the game outright, but brutal choke for the Eagles there. So in total, I know a lot of people wanted to see our 2024 record, and these are all the betting picks, both in the videos and in the Discord there. Be sure to join the Discord, as I mentioned, because we add more best bets there closer to game time, player props as well. And we made 3.1 units this last week, and mostly due to a great Monday night here, as you saw. So up 1.5 units on the season. The game picks, I'll admit, they've been bad so far. There have been a lot of big upsets, though. So no one's doing that well, but 7-9 is horrible, so we will get it back on track. I'm usually great at the game picks throughout the year, so hopefully we get another big winning week here this week. And now we get into the Week 3 slate here. Interesting Thursday night game, divisional battle, Patriots at the Jets. Patriots perennially own this Jets team, but the Jets were able to beat the Patriots finally last season. So we will see in this one. In this one, give me New York at home here. I just think that they're the better team. This is going to be their home debut. I don't love that they've been going across the country. We're in Santa Clara in week 1 on Monday night. Then they travel to Tennessee, get a sloppy win there, and then short week at home. But from the Patriots' perspective, tough overtime loss there to Seattle. Really thought they could have won that game. But overall in this game, I just think that Aaron Rodgers is better than Jacoby Brissett. I think this one might be a low-scoring dogfight there, as I haven't loved what I've seen from this New York offense, and the Patriots defense is pretty stingy. But I just do not think that Jacoby Brissett and this Patriots offense can top like 17 points in this game, so give me the Jets to win there outright. Next game, we got the Giants at the Browns. This one's pretty easy. Give me the Browns to win this game. As long as Watson gives them decent quarterback play and doesn't turn the ball over too much, this Browns defense will eat against Daniel Jones and the Giants. And just pretty tough for the Giants last week that they lost Graham Gano because they scored 3 touchdowns. Commanders scored none. They end up losing by 3 there. But in general, I thought it was an improved Giants effort last week, but you're going against a better team in the dog pound here. So I expect the Browns to continue their efforts from last week in Jacksonville. Give me them to win big over the Giants. And then next we get to 2 teams who struggled on offense a lot last week, Bears and the Colts. Give me the Colts to win this one. This is a second leg of a road stretch for Chicago here. Rookie quarterback and Caleb Williams. He can't really play worse than he did in his first 2 outings, and this Colts defense is not good. It got torched by the Texans in week 1, and then the Packers just completely dominated them in week 2. 40 minutes of time of possession. Josh Jacobs, 5 yards a carry there for the Packers. So I think that the Bears will be able to run the ball, but I do think that Richardson will play a little bit better than last week, and ultimately I think he's slightly better than Caleb, although we'll see. So no betting lock in this game, slightly into the Colts there, so I will give them the outright win in a matchup of ugly quarterback play. Then we get to a slew of betting locks here. Texans at the Vikings, 2 teams that are very hyped up, 2-0 starts. Give me the Vikings plus the 3.5 here. Now, this is why you've got to be in the Discord. Sunday night, I gave out this play when this was the spread. It was actually before the Sunday night game, and I just didn't understand the line. I know that the Vikings might be a tad overhyped at this point, but in this home environment, Minnesota, we saw what they did to the Niners. I just think that you have to take this team plus the 3.5. I would also take them at +3. At 2.5, we're getting towards a number that is friendly toward the Texans here because I do think that Houston is the better team here. So wait on this spread. We might play back the Texans if the number gets down to maybe -1 or 1.5 here, because I do think that CJ Stroud and this Texans team will be more consistent over the regular season. And I think that Stroud will be able to dissect this Brian Flores defense. Also, it's not great that you have Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson injured there. So I love the number at +3 or +3.5 for the Vikings. Don't love it at +2.5. Looking towards a Houston Texans playback spot. So be in the Discord waiting for that one at some point this week. Next, we have a very similar situation here between the Saints and the Eagles. I took the Saints at +3. I still like it at +2.5 if you're able to get that, but that's long gone. Again, you got to be in the Discord for that play. But now I think we're looking towards an Eagles playback. I think the Saints win this one outright, but now the value is going to be on the Eagles here. They're going into a tough environment, but I do think that they are the better team. I know that the Saints have played very well throughout the first 2 weeks, but I think that you're going to see some regression here, and the Eagles are going to be pissed off coming into this game. Sirianni's going to be chewing them out for that choke in the fourth quarter. Are coming off of a short week here, but I do think that they will have an inspired effort here. So love the Saints, plus points. We'll be playing back the Eagles at some point this week as well, so stay tuned for that. But I do have the Saints winning outright there, just to be clear. Then we get to the Steelers and the Chargers here. Give me the Steelers minus the 2 points. I'm not really sure what's going to happen with this line. It may end up going down to a pick'em, or it could go up to a field goal. So I would just take it now for the Steelers. A couple of reasons that I like them here. Coming back home into a raucous environment in Pittsburgh here. This is going to be their home opener after 2 pretty impressive victories led by their defense. And the Chargers, they've been across the country. This is the second straight week. They did look very impressive against Carolina, but that is a horrible Panthers team with Bryce Young there. I see that they'll be a bit fatigued in this one. Herbert also a little banged up. Don't know about his health status going into this one. And just in a matchup of 2 tough teams, war of attrition here, I trust Mike Tomlin and this team at home. So give me the Steelers there in spite of the inferior quarterback play. I think that Herbert and this Chargers offense will struggle against this Pittsburgh defense. So give me the Steelers to win a dogfight there and cover the 2. Next game, we get to the Broncos at the Buccaneers here. I'm going to take Tampa Bay to win this one big because I just do not believe in Bo Nix. And I do think that Todd Bowles has been doing great as the Bucs defensive play caller there. So I think he'll be able to scheme something up to confuse Bo Nix into a couple picks there. Do not think that the Broncos can get to 20 points. And this Tampa Bay offense has been cooking. Now the Broncos defense is decent, so we'll see how Baker does. But ultimately, I think that the Bucs are the better team here at home. Give me them to win. Then we get to another game here. Also, once again, I stress, important that you guys are in the Discord. Took the Titans -1 on Sunday night. Line has already gone up to 2.5, maybe 3 in a couple spots. If this line gets up to 3.5, we're definitely playing the Packers back because I think that's a little too much value on them. But the Titans, their defense has been carrying this team, and they have not been rewarded, as Will Levis has been just absolutely atrocious. The horrible pick 6 in week 1 to lose the Bears game, and then I don't know what he was doing in the red zone with a horrible pitch there that ended up being fumbled, lost the game for the Titans. So pretty brutal there. They've also had 2 blocked punts, which is pretty curious. Hopefully that doesn't happen this week. I do like the Titans to win this game outright, as I think that was a little bit of a mirage for Malik Willis last week against the Colts. I think the Titans are much better on defense. They will not be able to just ride the ground game. Malik Willis will have to make big throws. And this Titans team knows him better than anyone. Remember, he played for them a little over the past 2 seasons. So I think that he will struggle immensely there. And hopefully Will Levis does not make any game-losing mistakes as he's prone to do. So I do think the Titans get a very much-needed victory in Nashville there. Next game, we get to the Panthers at the Raiders here. This was going to be a Raiders blowout, in my opinion, if Bryce Young was the starter, but he got benched. I mean, talk about one of the biggest busts in NFL history. I'm not going to call it that yet because he's only 2 games into his second year, but boy, he is really bad. We'll see if he ends up playing later this season. But I do think that Dalton is a bit frisky here, and losing by an average of 30 points, I think they will have an inspired effort against Las Vegas. Vegas coming back from that road trip in Baltimore, impressive win, maybe a sleepy spot for them. So I do think that the Panthers will be frisky here. May end up playing a team total over on the Panthers offense just because I think that they will be able to move the ball against the Raiders here, but ultimately I do see the Raiders winning this one there. And very similar spot here for the Dolphins heading across the country there, switching up their quarterback in Seattle. I think that the Seahawks win this one, but may end up playing a Dolphins team total over because we might see an overreaction here from Vegas in terms of the quarterback play of the Dolphins. Tua was really bad last week. I know Skylar Thompson isn't great here, but I do think that he will play decent. The Seahawks offense, their personnel isn't great. I really like McDonald, their defensive play caller and head coach there, but do not think that they have morphed fully into form. The Broncos put up 20 in week 1. I think the Patriots put up either 17 or 20 in week 2. And I think with Skylar Thompson and this talented Dolphins offense coming off of some extra rest here, they will be able to do something similar there. So I think it will be closer than a lot of people expect. Seahawks coming back from New England and Dolphins on extra rest here, but do see Seattle winning that game outright there. Next game, another one, important that you're in the Discord because I gave out the Cardinals plus 3.5. It's down to 3. If it gets down to 2 or 2.5, definitely playing the Lions back because I think this is a classic bounce back spot here. They outgained that Bucs team last week by 200 yards. So I definitely think that the Lions win outright here. Although that home crowd last week was very spirited for the Cardinals. Didn't remember it usually being like that. I mean, also it helps when you win by 30 points. But yeah, Kyler, best performance we've seen from him in 3 or 4 years there. Very electric. And I think he can do a lot of that scrambling around. Even if the defensive line of the Lions is good, he'll be able to scramble around and test that Lions secondary there. So I think this one's going to be a high-scoring shootout. I think that the Cardinals will be in it. Think the Lions win. Hopefully this line comes down to 2 or 2.5. We can play back the Lions there, but I do love the Cardinals plus 3.5 over that key number there. I think that will be a very entertaining afternoon game. Then we get to another one. I do not have a great feel for this game. Ravens at Cowboys, two teams that desperately need a win at this point. Cowboys, 1-1, looked really good in Cleveland in week 1, but they just got their doors blown off in the home opener against the Saints. They're usually really good at home, but I don't know what that was. Last 2 times we've seen this team, they got blown up by the Packers in the playoffs and then blown up by the Saints. So give me the Ravens to win this one here. And a slight upset, point spread is about a pick 'em here. I just think that Baltimore is the better team, and Harbaugh is going to chew these guys out. They're going to be livid that they blew a 10-point fourth quarter home lead to the Raiders, especially after what transpired in week 1 with that tough loss to the Chiefs there, where it was very close. So do not think that this Ravens team can fall to 0-3 here. So I do think that Lamar Jackson will outplay Dak Prescott narrowly there. So give me the Ravens to win that one outright. Next game here, took the Niners -7 against the Rams. And some tough news after that because Deebo Samuel, it turns out, will be out for a few weeks. Not to mention CMC on IR as well. So that is not ideal, especially when their first-round pick, Ricky Pearsall, is not playing. So you're going to have to rely on a healthy diet of J.P. Mason. He's been good. Juszczyk, Kittle, and hopefully Ayuk steps up after that big contract. He's been pretty non-existent in that offense. Also going to have to rely on some of their other weapons, Chris Conley, Jacob Cowing, their 4th-round pick as well. So we'll see. I think that offense will be able to cook, though, because this Rams defense, if you guys have seen the first 2 weeks of the season, has been horrible. They should just be able to pound the rock. I think Mason will end up having 200 yards on the ground, and I'm not being facetious. You let up all of that to the Lions and Cardinals against this Niners team, experts in the power running game. It will get ugly here. I do think that the Rams offense will look a little bit better, but also without Nakua and Kupp, I don't know what they're going to be able to do there. Also, Stafford a little bit banged up as well. I think you'll see an inspired effort from the Niners defense who got torched in Minnesota last week. Also, not to mention that the Niners, I think, will have a crowd advantage slight in this game, or at least it will be even there. So I do think that the Niners will cover the 7 points there pretty easily as they perennially own this Rams team there. Then we get to the final betting lock for this video at least. Give me the Falcons plus 4.5 here against the Chiefs. I also do like it at 4 as well. I'm looking just to fade this Chiefs team this season because they are not an invincible team, as I stressed in yesterday's video in my power rankings. Yes, they deserve to be favored in this game against the Falcons, and I do think that they win outright, but a lot of these games are very close. They know how to win in the end, but can they cover this 4.5 points against a frisky Atlanta team? I think that this crowd will be really engaged in this one, and Mahomes has had some ill-advised turnovers. I think that this Falcons defense will play better than they did against the Eagles in that one. Not to mention that Isaiah Pacheco will be out for this game and for the foreseeable future, so I think that Mahomes will struggle in this one. I think that it will be a little bit of a dogfight. Really liked what I saw from Kirk Cousins and his Achilles there on the Monday night game. He was looking pretty mobile. So give me this Falcons team. I think that they could win outright. I'll still take the Chiefs to win outright, but love the value there for the home underdog Falcons in primetime. Then we've got 2 Monday night games here. Some pretty lofty spreads here, Jags and the Bills. Give me the Bills to win this first one outright against the Jags, although I think this one is a big Jags spot in terms of spread. I'm still waiting on that number. It was about 6 or 6.5 at one point, now down to 5.5. So hopefully we can get the Jags at a bigger number there, but have looked really bad in the first 2 weeks, especially Trevor Lawrence there. He could be baited into a couple throws, which is why I'm a bit concerned against this Buffalo defense, but I think that they should be able to move the ball. And I think that Josh Allen, due for some regression here, he was mistake-free in that Miami game. I think that he will throw a bone to this Jags defense, and I think that that Jags defensive front will be able to get after him there. And then also remember, last year it was a similar spread in London, and the Jags ended up winning outright, I think by multiple scores against this Buffalo team. So I do not think that they'll be intimidated going into this environment because they need to win this game. Talk about 0-2 versus 2-0 there, big swing. So I think that the Bills win, although I think it'll be very close. And then we get to the Commanders at the Bengals here. Talk about another team that needs a win. The Cincinnati Bengals, after that tough loss, will take the Bengals to win outright, but this spread has gotten out of control. It's up to, I think, 8.5, maybe 9 in some spots, so might play the Commanders. Keyword might if it gets up to like 10 or 10.5, although I don't presume that will happen, so probably we'll just sit it out there from a spread perspective. I'm not sure what to expect from Jaden Daniels against this tough Cincinnati defense. Maybe they'll be able to run the ball, but maybe not, and I'm not confident in Daniels through the air. Think that he'll make a couple mistakes, couple interceptions against this Bengals defense, and then hopefully, for the Bengals' sake, Joe Burrow plays like he did in Week 2, minus the fumble and a couple sacks that he took there against the Chiefs rather than Week 1. So I do think that the Bengals will win this one outright there against the Commanders. So with all that being said, let me know what you guys think of my predictions in the comments down below. What do you think of the betting locks? As always, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.